What happens when a man who risks everything to do the right thing is punished for it? What happens when the truth is buried under layers of lies, and the ones in power silence the voices of the brave? This is the story of a security guard named Derek Colton, a man who stood up for what was right, only to lose everything. But sometimes, life has a way of turning the tables in the most unexpected ways. This is a tale of courage, betrayal, and the power of truth. Let's dive in. Derek Colton wasn't just a security guard. He was the kind of man who believed in doing the right thing, no matter the cost. At 34, he had spent most of his life working hard to provide for his family. His job at Silverstone Mall wasn't glamorous, but it paid the bills. Every night, Derek walked the empty halls of the mall, checking doors, monitoring cameras, and making sure everything was safe. He took pride in his work. To him, it wasn't just a job, it was a responsibility. But Derek had a secret. He wasn't just watching over the mall. He was watching over the people who worked there. He noticed things others ignored. The late-night meetings in the manager's office, the strange packages being delivered after hours, and the nervous looks on the faces of the cleaning staff. Something wasn't right, and Derek couldn't shake the feeling that he was standing on the edge of something dark. One night, Derek's worst fears came true. While reviewing security footage, he saw something that made his blood run cold. The mall's manager, Victor Hale, was meeting with a group of men in the storage room. They were exchanging bags of cash for small, unmarked boxes. Derek's heart raced as he realized what he was witnessing, a smuggling operation right under his nose. Derek knew he had to act. He reported what he saw to the higher-ups, expecting them to take action. But instead of being thanked for his honesty, Derek was met with silence. Days turned into weeks, and nothing changed. If anything, Victor seemed more confident, more untouchable. Then, one morning, Derek was called into the office. Victor was there, sitting behind the desk with a cold smile on his face. "Derek," he said, his voice dripping with false sympathy, "we've decided to let you go. Your services are no longer needed." Derek was stunned. "But why? I've done nothing wrong." Victor leaned forward, his eyes narrowing. "You've been causing trouble, Derek. Asking too many questions. Reporting things that aren't your concern. We can't have that here." And just like that, Derek was fired. No explanation, no severance, no chance to defend himself. He walked out of the mall that day with his head held high, but inside he was broken. How could doing the right thing cost him everything? Weeks passed, and Derek struggled to find work. No one wanted to hire a security guard who had been fired from his last job. His savings dwindled, and the stress began to take its toll. But Derek refused to give up. He knew the truth about Victor, and he couldn't let it go. One afternoon, as Derek sat in a small cafe, a man approached him. He was dressed in a simple suit, but there was something about him that commanded respect. "Mind if I join you?" the man asked, his voice calm and steady. Derek nodded, and the man sat down. "My name is Lucas Reed," he said. "I've been watching you, Derek. I know what happened at Silverstone Mall." Derek's eyes widened. "How do you know about that?" Lucas smiled. "Let's just say I have a vested interest in the truth. I work for a company that values integrity, and I think you'd be a perfect fit for what we do." Derek was skeptical. "What kind of company?" Lucas leaned in closer. "One that exposes corruption and gives people like you a second chance. But I need your help. Are you willing to go back to Silverstone Mall undercover?" Derek's heart raced. This was his chance to set things right. "I'm in," he said without hesitation. With Lucas's help, Derek returned to Silverstone Mall, not as a security guard, but as a maintenance worker. His job was simple: gather evidence of Victor's illegal activities. It wasn't easy. Victor was careful, and Derek had to be even more careful. But slowly, piece by piece, he began to uncover the truth. Victor wasn't just smuggling goods. He was involved in a much larger operation. He was working with a network of criminals who used the mall as a front for their illegal activities. And the higher-ups? They were in on it too. Derek's heart ached as he realized the extent of the corruption. But he didn't give up. Every night, He sent the evidence to Lucas, who assured him that justice was coming. Then, one fateful night, everything came to a head. Derek was in the storage room, hidden behind a stack of boxes, when Victor walked in with two men. They were arguing, their voices sharp and angry. "You've been sloppy, Victor," one of the men said. "If this falls apart, it's on you." Victor sneered. "Relax. I've got everything under control. No one's going to stop us." But Victor was wrong. At that moment, the doors burst open, and a team of investigators stormed in. Lucas was at the front, his face stern and determined. "Victor Hale," he said, "you're under arrest." Victor's face turned pale. Who are you?" Lucas smiled. "I'm the CEO of Silverstone Corporation, and you've been caught." As Victor was led away in handcuffs, Derek felt a wave of relief wash over him. The truth had finally come to light, and justice had been served. But the story didn't end there. Lucas turned to Derek and placed a hand on his shoulder. "You did it, Derek. You stood up for what was right, even when it cost you everything. That's the kind of courage we need in this world." Derek smiled, tears welling up in his eyes. "I just did what I thought was right." Lucas nodded. "And that's why I'm offering you a new position, head of security for Silverstone Corporation. You've proven that you have what it takes to lead with integrity." Derek couldn't believe it. After everything he had been through, he was being given a second chance. As he walked out of the mall that night, Derek felt a sense of peace he hadn't felt in months. He had learned a valuable lesson. No matter how dark things seem, the truth will always find a way to shine through. And sometimes, doing the right thing, even when it's hard, can lead to the greatest rewards. Derek Colton's story is a reminder that courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the strength to do what's right, even when the odds are against you. In a world where corruption and greed often seem to win, it's the Derek Coltons of the world who give us hope. So the next time you're faced with a choice between right and wrong, between silence and action, remember Derek's story and ask yourself, what would you do?